Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm Dr. Michael Murray, and my topic tonight is not COVID. I like that. That's what I've been focusing on, it seems like, over a year now. So the title tonight is How to Sleep and Dream Better. And I love this subject because one of the first things I learned when I was in clinical practice was that the easiest way to improve the quality of the lives of my patients was to help them get a better night's sleep. So I'm going to share with you some of the tricks I've learned over the last 40 years in helping people get a better night's sleep. So I'm going to switch to my PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to explain why we sleep. I'm going to help you understand the sleep cycle. I'm going to blow apart the myth of the 8-hour sleep and tell you what I do on a regular basis. And then I want to talk about dreams, because I think dreaming is a big part of life, not just having goals and aspirations, but also taking advantage of the role that dreams play in helping us navigate our lives. So we're going to talk a little bit about why dreams are important, and I will help you get rid of dream disruptors, and we'll talk about some natural compounds that can help improve the dream experience and help you remember those dreams as well. So I also want to talk about the dangers of sleeping pills, and these are a big problem. And we've got 15 million Americans are placed on these drugs on a regular basis, and it's you're going to be shocked. These drugs lead to early mortality, Alzheimer's disease, and a whole long list of other ailments. So I want to get people on these natural approaches and helping them sleep better. And we'll have some time for questions and answers. So if you have a question, I'm not going to get to it till the end, but there's a chat box, and we got people coming in from all over. That's great. So we're going to touch on these topics, and then I'm going to take your questions and answers. And I think I'm targeting about an hour, and I'm going to go fast paced to keep everybody interested. So let's get going. All right. So why do we sleep? Well, sleep is actually essential for survival. It's necessary for us to recharge, literally and figuratively, and it leads to cellular repair and regeneration and enhanced immune function. And this is specifically occurring in what's called slow wave sleep, when we're not dreaming. With REM sleep, when we're dreaming, this promotes brain development, it facilitates learning, and it leads to consolidation of memories. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on when we're dreaming in just a minute. So what I have here is titled Normal Sleep Architecture, and it's showing you a somnogram of how we go from different depths of sleep in 90-minute cycles. So typically, every 90 minutes, we're transitioning from a light sleep or no sleep at all at the beginning, and we progressively go into deeper levels of sleep. And then 90 minutes, we have awakening a bit, and that's where this REM cycle kicks in. That stands for rapid eye movement. That's when we're dreaming. And notice that after the first sleep cycle, REM sleep only lasts for about 5 minutes, and then the next is 10, and then 15, and then the last cycle, it might be 30 to 60 minutes. We're really dreaming, and that's when we have those lucid dreams, and those are great. Those are fun, and those are the ones we generally recommend trying to achieve. And these dreams are the ones we want to remember as well. So let's talk a little bit about these sleep stages. Our brain will emit different waves based upon the depth of our sleep. And one of the problems with a lot of sleeping pills is they don't allow us to hit these deeper stages 3 and 4. We sleep just as long as we're required under most circumstances when we take a sleeping pill. but we don't get the deep rest that we need, so we wake up feeling a bit groggy. Those deep sleep stages, if we go back, that's really where we get the most out of sleep. That's where we're going to get recharge, we're going to get cellular repair, we're going to get improved antioxidant function, improved immune function. So we're really selling ourselves short when we utilize sleeping pills, because they do not allow us in most circumstances to experience sufficient levels of those deep levels of sleep. So why do we dream? Well, I think we dream because it's our way to communicate with our conscious mind a little bit with our subconscious mind. And we dream to consolidate unconscious learning, and that really means learning habits, learning physical skills, where we stop thinking about what we're doing. We just do it. This happens in REM sleep, but we also experience some dreaming in slow wave sleep, but it's more functional. In slow wave sleep, we need those deeper levels so that we can consolidate our conscious knowledge of facts and what we've learned throughout the day. So with the non-REM dreaming, if you ever wake up in the middle of the night and you think, gosh, I just had the odd dream and it was in black and white. Why am I dreaming in black and white? Or if you only remember dreaming in black and white and not color, what that tells me is that you're dreaming primarily in the non-REM state, and that's where we get that consolidated memory of what we've learned through the day in terms of facts. Whereas the REM sleep, that's really that's where we're getting into the emotions of the day and again, the communication with our subconscious mind. So I think dreams are really important. And during times of stress and anxiety, we both dream more and we remember our dreams more often. It's a way of coping with challenging circumstances and new information. Now, I love my dreams. I dream a lot. Maybe it's the stress I'm under, but I think it's because of other reasons. I think it's because, well, we'll get to those. I've got some opinions on why I dream really well and how I can help you dream well too. So I like dreams to problem solve. I've had this experience where maybe there's some conflict within a relationship or a problem I'm working on, and lo and behold, I work through those challenges in my dreams, and sometimes they inspire me to do the same in my real life. So anyway, the ability to dream is associated with better mood and optimism. So that's a good payoff, right? And that's really showing us that these are really important things. I like what Freud said. He said, a dream that is not interpreted is like a letter that is not opened. And there's so much value that we can gain from taking a look at our dreams. And a lot of times these are things that are, these dreams are based upon symbols. And, the internet's great because you could have a funny dream and think, what is the significance of this dream? And you can talk, you type it in and, dreaming, giving a presentation without any clothes on. You can get all sorts of interpretations of that dream and see which one applies to your particular situation. So it's fun too. So what's the myth of the 8 hours sleep? I don't sleep 8 hours. I'm good with about with about 6 or 7 quality hours of sleep. So that's what I need. And there's some times where I need more than that. And there's no set amount of time that everybody needs. Everybody will vary. Everybody needs to get a good night's sleep. For some people, they may be able to do it in 6 or 7 hours. Other people may need 9 or 10. So just listen to your body and listen to your heart and see what what feels right to you. Most people know how much sleep they need, and they know what happens when they don't get that quality sleep. And one of the things that taught me just how important sleep is in our lives, I have 3 children, and they were all pretty good sleepers. But my son was the world's best sleeper when he was a baby. And what I noticed is that he was the happiest baby I've ever seen as well. And I started thinking about it. And when kids don't get enough sleep, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? They're irritable, they're cranky, you see them yawning, there's a reason why we put them down for naps, because when we put them down for naps, when they wake up, boy, they're good to go, and they're happy. They're the happy little beings that we love once again. So how did our ancestors sleep? Did they sleep for 8 hours? No. Think about it. They didn't have electricity. I think they took advantage of those long nights, and they slept more during the winter, and they slept less during the summer. More work to get done and more things to do outside. So our ancestors, their sleep was determined a lot by their circumstances, what they needed to do to survive. And we're all trying to survive now. Some of us are at a disadvantage because maybe we're working all night. And that's going to disrupt your biological clock. And we're going to talk about this because I'm going to share with you some things that are brand new and things that most people don't know about how our body, how every cell in our body contributes to getting a good night's sleep. I have here, should you try the first and second sleep cycle? And this is what I do, especially in the winter. In the summer, I generally go to sleep just a little bit later. For me, 10 o'clock is really late, and I get up earlier, usually 4:30 or 5 in the summer. In the winter, I go to sleep a little bit earlier, not much, maybe 9 or 9:30. And what'll happen is I'll wake up. I'll wake up, maybe 2:30 or even 3:30, and I'm alert. And I don't force myself to sleep more. I use this time for me, and it may be some meditation. I have some meditation practices that I engage in. It may be goofing off and looking at something on ESPN and seeing what happened in sports the night before. It may be reading a scientific article. It could be any of a number of things, but I'm wired to make most of my time as efficient as I can. So I use this time for me, and then I go back to sleep. And I was talking to a sleep expert many, many years ago, and he asked me how do I sleep, and I told him, I go to sleep for about 4 to 5 hours, and I wake up and I'm fine. And I will read or write or sometimes goof off, but then I'll go back to sleep. And when I go back to sleep, it's absolutely glorious because I sleep really sound, but I'm in a very lucid dreaming state. And he said, "Oh, you're having a second sleep." And so I started reading about this second sleep phenomenon, and I tell you, it's fantastic. And I realized that my grandmother had this second sleep habit as well. Maybe it's a genetic thing. It may have been forced because when I was young, we lived with her for a while, and I was 4 or 5, and just about every night I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and I'd go down and I'd get in her bed, and I'd wake her up, and sometimes she was awake, but most of the time I'd wake her up and I'd have her tell me stories. And before electricity it was common, I guess, for many people to have a second sleep where they'd wake up in the middle of the night and they'd read by candlelight. They'd interact with each other. They would talk about meaningful things. They'd improve their relationships. But my grandmother would tell me, okay, Mike, I'm going to go back to sleep and you're going to see my eyes moving back and forth and all around. If you see my eyes moving like that, it means I'm in reverie. Now, I never heard of that reverie, that term. And I said, what does that mean, Graham? And she goes, that means I'm dreaming, but it's not a typical dream. These are very vivid dreams and they're really enjoyable to me. So please don't wake me up. So that's, I'm telling you, if you can get that dream experience, it is truly reverie. And I have that on a regular basis. Another thing that I do is I take naps. Now, I generally will do this not too late in the afternoon. I generally do it kind of because I'm getting up awfully early. So I'm doing this not too late in the afternoon, and I try to keep it less than 20 minutes. Sometimes it's longer, but that's okay. I needed that nap, and it's really strange because sometimes it's only 15 minutes, and I wake up and I think that I slept so good that I fell asleep all night on the couch, and it's only been 15 minutes. So are we designed to nap? I think so. We're living in this kind of artificial environment where we think we have to work for 8 hours during the day. I've always pretty much worked at home, so I've really gotten in this habit of this power nap. But as I've gotten older, it definitely recharges my brain. I've noticed just as it gets later in the evening, my brain isn't as alive as it is during the day. And I think recharging that brain with a nap allows me to be very, very, very productive. I got here, napping reduces stress and risk for heart disease. Look at this study. This study was done back in 2007. I love this study. It was in the Greek-European Perspective Investigation into Cancer and Nutrition. And they started looking at all sorts of different factors in this study, and they found that people who took a siesta of any frequency or duration had a 34% reduced rate of having a heart attack. So further analysis showed that occasional napping still had some benefit, but those that regularly napped had a 37% lower coronary mortality. That, folks, that's better than what they've seen with statins. That's really fantastic. So lifestyle goes a long way in reducing our risk for heart disease and cancer and just about every other health condition. But a siesta, I think you're really doing a lot of great things for your physiology. And one of the key things is you're activating that parasympathetic nervous system. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. So I've said several times, avoid the use of sleeping pills. They have numerous immediate side effects. You can't really drive or think well when you're on these drugs. They're linked to a dramatic increased risk for dementia, incredibly negative effect on shortening our life expectancy, highly addictive. I'm telling you, use natural products instead. Here's one of the studies that was done with sedative drugs and mortality. This study showed that these drugs, whether they're the newer classes or the older classes, had a 4.6 times mortality rate compared to controls. Even with doses less than 18 doses per year of any of these drugs was associated with a 3.6 times greater mortality risk. And then the higher the dosage, the higher the risk. So they concluded, this was in 2010, that these drugs may have been associated with 320,000 to 507,000 excess deaths in the U.S. alone. That's basically just about everybody. So these drugs are really problematic, and that's especially true for the elderly. This is a chart showing this, some of this data. So this is showing you the years of observation, 5-year study, and then the number of people in these groups that are surviving. And you can see in this group, 75 and older, when they get a hypnotic drug, if they're taking these drugs on a regular basis, it dramatically shortens their lifespan when you compare them. So look at this right here, and I don't know if you can see the arrow, but there's the triangle here, let's go to the circle. Age 75 and older with no hypnotic drug use. You compare that to the circle where the age greater than 75 had hypnotic drug use. Now, you could say, well, maybe though they didn't survive because they were taking the drug because they had a sleeping issue, and it was really the sleeping issue. Well, they've controlled for that. This is related strictly to the use of these drugs. They increase our risk for overall mortality, increase the risk for certain forms of cancer, increase the risk for heart disease. They increase the risk for Alzheimer's disease. We've got to get people off these sedative hypnotic drugs. So these newer drugs, there's even questions whether these drugs are all that effective. This was an analysis that was done in 2012 and 2014, where they looked at Ambien, Sonata, and Lunesta, and they found that, boy, the placebo response is a major contributor to the effectiveness of these drugs. So they're really not all that effective, and yet they're associated with a long list of side effects. They definitely reduce cognitive function in people, and as I said, they are linked to early death. So I like this cartoon here. Never take a pill that has more side effects than you have symptoms. Pretty good advice, right? So, yeah, you know, I value sleep. I want everybody to get a good night's sleep. I want you to get that good night's sleep without having to use these sedative hypnotic drugs. They're not good for you. You need to find some natural ways to help yourself deal with what's going on in your life and sleep better. So here are some disruptors of sleep or dreaming. And I'm just going to quickly go through these because these are things everybody knows. When we're stressed out, it leads to activation of our sympathetic nervous system and the release of cortisol, both of which leads to insomnia, among other things. Depression, if we're working through something, if we're depressed, poor sleep quality and poor dream recall is part of that. I'm going to focus a bit on faulty blood sugar because I think when you have faulty blood sugar control, it makes you more susceptible to stress and depression. Nutrient deficiencies, I'm going to focus a bit on magnesium, but you all know my basic foundation supplement program. I want everybody on a multiple vitamin and mineral formula, extra vitamin D3. You need to take good high quality fish oils and some sort of a broad spectrum plant-based antioxidant. So we can't have any nutrient deficiencies. There are a number of nutrient deficiencies that have been linked to poor sleep quality and poor dream recall. Too much caffeine, alcohol, drugs, prescription, as well as illicit drugs in marijuana, THC, and CBD. I know a lot of people are out there taking CBD for sleep, but the dosage that's been shown to help with sleep has some negative effects. It leads to reduced dream recall. So we see that with THC and CBD, and I think I believe in the importance of dreams. So there are so many drugs that produce insomnia, and it's not just stimulant drugs, it's a wide range of different drugs. So if you're on any prescription drug and you're not sleeping well, see if insomnia or poor sleep quality is a side effect of that drug. And if it is, I'd recommend doing everything you possibly can to get off that drug and deal with your condition naturally. I've got here not enough physical and mental exercise. I was talking to a friend about this webinar, And I said, I sleep great. And they said, yeah, that's because every day you're exhausting yourself physically and mentally. And I started thinking about that. They were kind of joking around, but I started thinking about that, and I realized that was probably true. I think that's another reason why kids sleep so well, because they're not leaving anything undone. They're full bore when they're awake. While many adults, they're not moving much. They're really not thinking much. They're not exerting themselves physically or mentally, and I think that leads to poor sleep quality. That's one of my theories. So I'm going to encourage you to engage in physical and mental activities and really live fully. That's it. There are hormonal and other disturbances in brain chemistry, and we're going to talk about low serotonin, low melatonin, as well as some other things that relate to hormonal or other disturbances in brain chemistry. So stress is really a key factor. Getting a good night's sleep is something that can really help with stress, but developing stress management techniques and utilizing them, that helps with your sleep as well. Stabilizing your blood sugar levels, nourishing your body and brain, and managing your life are very critical to help mitigate the effects of stress and improve your sleep quality. When we are in a state of relaxation, we are under parasympathetic nervous system control. It's the opposite of the fight or flight response that you've all heard about. That fight or flight response is due to stimulating your sympathetic nervous system. The opposite arm of our unconscious nervous system is the parasympathetic nervous system, and it promotes the relaxation response. And if you're having a lot of anxiousness and stress in your life, you've got to engage in deep breathing exercises or other techniques that really activate this parasympathetic nervous system and promote this relaxation response. So deep breathing exercises, meditation, prayer, progressive relaxation, self-hypnosis, biofeedback. In that time in between my first and second sleep, often when I'm ready to go back to sleep, I do so by just engaging in my meditation and my deep breathing exercises. And I think that just really sets the stage to have those great dreams that I enjoy so much. So those of you, if you get my book, and I'm going to send an offer sheet here. I meant to do that earlier. So my latest book is a longevity matrix, and I start the book off by kind of sharing with the readers some of the foundation practices that I engage in on a daily basis. And one of them is this priming exercise, where I'm literally pulling down from the universe the things that I want to experience more of in my life: love, joy, peace, and happiness. And so if you want more of those things, spend $15, get my book, and follow my priming exercises. But I'll do those priming exercises even in my bed, modification of them, where I am associating to all those great feelings. And the more we can create those feelings within us from our generation, the more secure and feelings that we really want in our life we're able to experience, not just joy, peace, love, and happiness, but all the other things that we have. I got into this one discussion with someone who said there's only two emotions, fear and love. And I said, I don't think that's true, because neuroscientists have found that different areas of our brain are active when we're experiencing different emotions. So, where we experience awe or gratitude or love or any other powerful positive emotion, is going to be in a slightly different area than the others. So yeah, I think it's like colors. Just as there are many colors, there are many emotional states that we can experience. So anyway, activate that parasympathetic nervous system. It's really important for diffusing that. And I just want to say something about what I noticed when I was in practice about people who had challenges sleeping. And this, I'm not trying to. It's not a judgment. It's just an observation. What I think happens when you're in this parasympathetic state is that you're letting go. And what I've found is that in people that sleep poorly, in general, it seems like many of them have an issue with just letting go. And us good sleepers, we don't have that problem. We like that feeling of just letting go and just becoming light and floating into our bed and falling into that deep sleep. That's easy for us, but I think some people have a hard time letting go, and I encourage you to think about that a bit. And if you are holding on to things, learning how to let go is really critical to sleeping well and getting all you can from sleep. Next, faulty blood sugar control is a big factor in why many people don't sleep. And I'm going to tell you this from my clinical experience. And so how do you know if you have poor blood sugar control? Well, if your waist circumference is larger than your hips, you're likely suffering from the metabolic syndrome. And one of the features of that metabolic syndrome is poor blood sugar control. So these are some of the symptoms that you see in people with blood sugar issues. They become a bit spacey as their blood sugar levels are going up and down. They may crave sweets. They often get sleepy in the afternoon. They feel much better. They get irritable or hangry if a meal is missed. And they wake up often during the night. They don't sleep soundly, and they feel hungry all of the time. Now, one of the dietary strategies that I promote is the traditional healthy Mediterranean diet pyramid. The traditional Mediterranean diet is the most well-studied health-promoting diet out there, but I make a modification to it. So this is the typical one. What I do to it is I get rid of the sweets and the starches and complex carbohydrates. If you're burning a lot of calories and you're highly active and you need some carbs, then you can make healthy choices in that group. But for most of us, I think if we eliminate them, it's going to be easier to control our blood sugar levels and for many people lose weight. So stay away from sugar, stay away from certainly any refined carbohydrates, white bread, pasta, that sort of thing. And if you're not familiar with the glycemic load, again, I cover this in most of my books, and it's really important that you have a working understanding of how much you can consume of carbohydrates in a 2.5 to 3 hour period. You can have a potato, but if you have a potato, that it means you really can't have any other carbohydrates for 2.5 hours. So, getting an idea of what a appropriate amount of carbohydrate is for your body based upon your size and calorie expenditure is really important. Okay, so one of the ways that I discovered that blood sugar control was critical to getting a good night's sleep was my involvement with the development of this product called polyglycoplex, or PGX. This is a patented soluble fiber complex with exceptional viscosity. That means it's able to form a gel-like nature and bind water. It's able to bind more than 600 times its weight in water. And this viscosity or thickening effect produces clinical results at practical doses. So like 5 grams of PGX in terms of lowering cholesterol is equal to about 100 grams of beta glucan from oat bran. So it's just you're going to get better results with a smaller amount of fiber. And when you eat psyllium, seed husks, or some of the other popular fiber sources to get a dosage that's going to lower blood sugar level and promote satiety. Often it's going to cause a lot of GI discomfort. We're able to avoid all that with PGX. So we started looking, Dr. Michael Lyon was the main person that did this. We co-authored a book called Hunger Free Forever, and How to Prevent and Treat Diabetes with Natural Medicine. What he started looking at was, and now it's popular, you're seeing these continuous blood sugar measurements. So what you're looking at here, this is a woman's blood sugar levels, this graph, over a 24-hour period from midnight to midnight. Now, it was a 40-year-old woman that had a significant stress event 7 years prior. She was involved in an automobile accident. It's pretty serious. Her weight more than doubled. So she went from 135 pounds to 270 pounds. And what happened with her is that she would have, so starting from left to right, this was midnight. So at midnight, her blood sugar levels are, they're okay. They're about 120 or so, but they would spike because she had a late snack here, and her blood sugar levels would spike, and then they'd come crashing down, and she'd wake up. She'd be hungry again. But notice that her blood sugar levels would stabilize, and she'd be able to get back to sleep. And she'd get up in the morning, and yeah, she was pre-diabetic, and then she'd would just have a light breakfast and wouldn't eat until noon, and then boom, blood sugar levels go up, and she's on this roller coaster. So when people are on this roller coaster during the day, it often leads to this sort of rise in nighttime blood sugar, and then it'll come crashing down. And when blood sugar levels come crashing down, the brain panics, and it thinks it's losing its energy source, so it's going to wake us up and drive us to go down there and binge. And she had what's called nocturnal hyperphagia. What does that mean? Well, hyper means high, phagia means eating. So she would wake up and she would just go and eat. She would literally eat a whole box of Captain Crunch cereal. I didn't think that was possible because it's hard, and it kind of it's hard on the mouth, right? But she would soak it in milk and make it really soft. And so, she had so much insulin that her blood sugar levels would stabilize, and then she wouldn't be hungry in the morning. She wouldn't eat until noon. But that's a very excessive response. She would just see these rapid rises in blood sugar, and again, pre-diabetic. So we put her on a low glycemic load diet, gave her 5 grams of PGX before meals. And PGX is the only compound in all of the world and in all the medical studies and research that's able to produce this flattening of a continuous blood sugar monitor. Now that these devices are more popular, I'm hoping that PGX will become more popular, because when you stabilize blood sugar levels within a very narrow range, it has very significant physiological benefits. And one of the outcomes of that improved physiology is that people sleep better. So in this case, this woman slept better, and she also lost about 35 pounds in the first month. So stabilizing blood sugar levels is absolutely critical. PGX provides a lot of other unique benefits. If you want more information, you can go to pgx.com. All the research is there. You can look at all the studies. This is an extremely well-researched natural product. Practical matters. For the glycemic effect, we don't need a high dose, only 1 to 2.5 grams. To promote satiety and weight loss, we need 5 grams. Now, if you're taking any medications, take those medications 1 hour before or after taking PGX. It doesn't affect nutrient absorption, but it can change the rate of drug absorption, and that may interfere with the action of some drugs. So you're taking metformin or blood pressure medicine or whatever, just take it 1 hour before a meal. Metformin, we generally recommend that it's taken with a meal. So take it during a snack, something in your stomach so it's not irritating it. But try to have PGX before every meal. So when I talk about its use as a sleep aid, it's not taking it at night. It's stabilizing blood sugar levels during the day. And when you do that, you stabilize blood sugar levels through the night. If you stabilize blood sugar levels through the night, you eliminate nighttime awakening in people who have insulin resistance, if they're overweight, if they have type 2 diabetes, and you help these people sleep soundly throughout the night. And that changes the quality of their lives dramatically. So I'm going to quickly go through these top natural sleep aids. Now, I wrote an article on iHerb, and I'm going to send you. Oh, did I do that? Oh, no. Okay. There's the offer for the book, but I want to send you a link to this article I wrote for iHerb on the. There we go. On the top 6 best natural sleep supplements. I wrote this in January. Now I would change it a little bit. So what I have here, or what have we got here? We got 12. So I got 12 of them. On the right here, I've got the herbs, and I'll talk about those. And I'm going to talk about these nutritional sleep aids. I like using the nutritional sleep aids kind of as a this pretty much. I'll show you which ones I would use for a particular application, and then I'll help you. I'd like to use it in partnership with an herb, and I'll help you choose the one that might be best for you at the end here. So let's get back. I got to get back to my slides. All right. Okay, in the promotion of this webinar, I talked about the biological clock. And for a long time, scientists believed that the biological clock was in the center of our brain, specifically in the hypothalamus. But now we know that nearly every cell in the body has its own internal biological clock. And this biological clock within every cell optimizes the utilization of nutrition and other agents for all necessary cellular functions, including the production of energy, which goes on a cyclical pattern. We also know that hormonal balance, repair mechanisms, detoxification reactions, immune system activity, and antioxidant functions are also influenced by the biological clock in circadian rhythm. So we have this whole body that we have composed of individual cells. We're one big biological clock. It's just not in an area of our brain. It's throughout every cell practically in our body. It was interesting. In 2017, the Nobel Prize for Medicine was awarded to these researchers that showed that this biological response, or clock, I should say, this biological clock was sensitive to the rotations of the Earth. So we have a sensor in our body. This clock is a sensor as well as something that activates all these control mechanisms. So these are just some unique factoids. Here's some more. Aging adversely affects the biological clock, resulting in impaired sleep. So as we get older, our sleep is disrupted, and it's a big factor in why some people are getting obesity or insulin resistance or high cholesterol levels, because it produces a lot of metabolic stress. We know that jet lag produces alterations in our biological clock, and that disrupts many body symptoms. I'm going to talk about a special flavonoid that exerts very interesting and unique, important effects in restoring the function of the biological clock throughout the body. I just finished a very thorough investigation of this compound, Nobiletin. And Nobiletin is found in all citrus fruit mainly the peels, but it's very high in unripe tangerine. It's called a polymethoxy flavone, polymethoxylated flavone, because it contains these methoxy groups, and that changes its absorption and utilization in a very positive way compared to other types of flavonoids like quercetin. So the one I'm talking about is this Nobiletin. It's the most interesting of these polymethoxylated flavones. It is found in tangerines, 10 times more concentrated than oranges, and mandarin oranges 50-fold higher than grapefruits and blood oranges. You can't get it from eating oranges. You'd have to drink 28 liters of orange juice to yield 50 milligrams of Nobiletin. So it is available, not widely available yet, but it's going to be a very popular natural product in the near future, I believe. It is, like all flavonoids, a biological response modifier. That's evident by its antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, and antiviral effects. It has some anti-aging effects. It has some effects on components of the metabolic syndrome and in protecting the brain. But it's really unique in that it has this ability to improve the functioning of the biological clock. It resets the biological clock, and many of these benefits in lowering cholesterol levels and improving insulin sensitivity and fighting against neurodegeneration in the brain, these effects are strongly linked to its ability to improve the functions of the biological clock in all of these tissues and cells. So it's very effective in improving the biological clock in liver cells, in brain cells, muscle cells, heart cells. This is really a very unique compound. They looked at 5,300 molecules to date and analyzed their effect on circadian rhythm, the normal hormonal and physiological rhythm of our body, the biological clock. And Nobiletin exerted the greatest effect on circadian rhythm of any of these molecules. It resets or reprograms the circadian rhythm resulting from metabolic disorders, and in doing so reduces insulin resistance and fat cell formation. This was a study that just came out in December. These are all the possible clinical indications of Nobiletin because of its ability to reset this biological clock. Now, notice that I don't have up here anywhere that it might be useful for insomnia. Well, again, what we're learning is that all of our individual cells contribute to the functioning of our internal biological clock. So by improving the function of the overall clock, by improving the function within each individual cell, Nobiletin may have an effect in improving sleep quality as well. But you can see that a lot of these conditions are very, very common. The recommended dosage is 60 to 120 milligrams per day. I only found one product on the market with that, and I'll get to that in just a minute. There's a product from Life Extension. There's other things that we can do to help Nobiletin work better, in my opinion. I have extensive experience recommending nighttime melatonin 3 to 5 milligrams and morning methylcobalamin 3 to 5 milligrams to help synchronize the central clock in the brain. So I recommend using these along with the Nobiletin dosage, 60 to 120 milligrams per day, can be taken during the day. So you don't have to take it at night. But right now I've only found one source of that, and this is a product from Life Extension. It's a Nobiletin and melatonin combo, and it has 50 milligrams of Nobiletin and 1.5 milligrams. So I'd recommend 2 capsules 30 to 45 minutes before bed. If you I'm going to go back. So my point here is if you have some of these, particularly over here, if you have some of these metabolic issues like you need to lose some weight, you have high cholesterol levels, you have type 2 diabetes, you've got fatty infiltration in your liver, you've got elevated ammonia levels, or if you have any sort of severe inflammatory condition, this is a very good recommendation, because you're not only helping your biological clock function better, you're going to help produce these metabolic effects that are going to help you deal with these conditions I just listed. So that would be kind of an indication for when I might recommend this product. Now, it's the only one I could find that had the Nobiletin in it, and the melatonin. We know melatonin. I'm not going to belabor that. It's a very good sleep promoter. It works best in people that aren't secreting enough of their own melatonin. So here's an interesting thing. We think of melatonin. If you ask somebody, what's melatonin? They'll say, well, it's a hormone-like compound, amino acid, made in the pineal gland in the brain. But you know what? Our gut produces 400 times the amount of melatonin than is produced in our brain, and melatonin is really more of a gut hormone than it is a brain hormone. It has some effects in promoting sleep and in controlling circadian rhythm, but it has other effects in the gut, in the liver, that don't have anything to do with pineal gland production. It's produced in much higher concentrations in the gut. So 3 to 5 milligrams is a good dose. Initially, when it was first on the market, we were going with even lower doses, 0.3 milligrams. But this has turned out to be the kind of the standard recommendation. Lots of great safety data, even in children. I'm going to give you my recommendation in children. I also recommend taking 3 milligrams of methylcobalamin upon arising, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute. But first, I got to tell you what methylcobalamin is. It's the preferred form of vitamin B12 for oral therapy. It's the most active form. It's very important in enhancing cognitive function. In one large study in elderly subjects, they had with dementia, they observed a complete recovery in 61% of the cases. So here's the significance of that. There are a lot of people in nursing homes suffering from dementia. Maybe they're simply because they're low in vitamin B12. So it's something that needs to be addressed, assessed, and if levels are low, methylcobalamin can lead to a complete recovery. Complete recovery. So 61% complete recovery, and a higher number of people also have a significant improvement. So methylcobalamin is the most active form of vitamin B12. This is showing you cyanocobalamine or hydroxycobalamin or other forms. These are not active as B12 in the active form is this methyl B12. So we want to use methyl B12. Typical dose for sleep disorders is 3 to 5 milligrams first thing upon arising. Don't take it at night. B12 at night will impair the secretion of melatonin. The idea is you want to take B12 during the day so that brain melatonin levels increase, and then in the evening you take the melatonin to supplement the brain's production. So methylcobalamin is one of the things that's been shown to be the outcome is improved sleep if you take it in the morning. It's very useful in some people that have what is called sleep-wake cycle disorder. We all have known people like this. What is a sleep-wake cycle disorder? Well, the classic one, I would say, would probably describe an elderly person that doesn't sleep well during the night. They're tossing and turning, and but then during the day, they start reading a book and they can't stay awake. They fall asleep. It's because they have altered circadian rhythm. They're great candidates for Nobiletin, melatonin, and methylcobalamin. When these subjects with sleep-wake cycle disorder were given methylcobalamin, what happens is they become alert during the day and they sleep better at night. And so think about that. I mean, if you can help someone have more energy during the day and sleep better, and I've already showed you that that was the reason I put that other study here. There are a lot of elderly people, I think, that aren't functioning as well as they could mentally, or they're not sleeping as well. They have a sleep-wake cycle disorder, and they may respond very well to methyl B12. That's the message there. That's what I wanted to get across. And I'm almost done. We're almost ready for some questions and answers. Got a few other things I want to touch on. So now I put together a formula for natural factors, probably about 15 years ago. I love this formula. I fell in love with another formula called EndoSleep that I developed as well. But for many years, I used this product. I still like it a lot. I like to recommend it. And it has melatonin in it, along with sun-theanine and 5-HTP. And I use this to preface my little description of sun-theanine. Melatonin has been shown to be helpful for improving sleep quality. Everybody knows that. It's also been shown to be helpful in children with some sorts of sleep disorders. It's been helpful in some kids with autism. But I think l-theanine is a better choice. It's gentle. It's very safe. It has some clinical documentation, including an ability to improve sleep quality in kids that have attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity. I like 200 milligrams in the morning before they go off to school, 200 milligrams at night before they go to bed. That was the dosage that was used in the ADHD study. Fantastic effects on improving sleep quality. For adults, I like another substance, pharma-GABA. GABA is one of the most important neurotransmitters. Pharma-GABA is naturally produced and clinically proven. In these studies, it's been shown to improve feelings of relaxation while also producing more mental energy, leading to greater focus and concentration. A new study, which I'm going to review and get out in a newsletter, showed it to improve cognition. So this is really the best form of GABA. And in one of the studies, they showed that it improved sleep quality. Again, you don't have to take it at night. You can. It affects. So one of the things that GABA does, pharma-GABA does, is that it increases the percentage of alpha brain waves. And these are the brain waves that we produce when we are awake but relaxed. And that's really important when we're learning or we're engaged in mental exercises or physical exercises. Like, I have friends that are skiers or golfers. They love this because they're more relaxed and they're functioning better. That's because pharma-GABA as well as sun-theanine increase the percentage of alpha waves versus beta waves. And when you do that, you feel great and you function better. And this is, if you've never tried this, you can give it a try. It changes brainwave patterns within 5 minutes. When pharma-GABA was being launched by a company probably about 15 years ago again, Jones Soda, maybe you know Jones Soda, they launched a pharma-GABA beverage. What they found was that we had this at a trade show. We had EEG, and we'd have people come and we'd show them in 5 minutes they would change their brain waves. And we'd actually had a game where you'd have competing people move a ball that was only responsive to alpha brain waves, and they would play kind of like a football. They put the ball in the middle of this table, and you could move the ball if you with higher alpha brain waves. It was really cool. It was a great game, and people were, because you would win by becoming more relaxed. And so, people would think about concentrating, but that's not how you'd win. I was pretty good at it because I knew what to do. I just had to relax and put myself in that alpha brainwave function. So I love this product. I still have it at hand. I remember once I was in a health food store in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and at the time, Natural Factors had my picture on this Pharmagaba bottle, and this woman came in, and I was just picking up some things in the store because I was giving a lecture, and she's saying, "Where's your Pharmagaba? Where's your Pharmagaba?" And so she, I was the store worker was busy, so I took her over there, and I said, and I put the bottle next to my face. I said, "This is the one that I recommend." She goes, "Yeah, no, I follow everything that Dr. Murray says, and I know that's the one that Dr. Murray recommends." I said, "Yeah, that's me. That's Dr. Murray." And oh my God, she got down on her hands and knees, and she thanked me so much because this was the only thing that really helped calm her down. And she was desperate. She ran out when she was under stress, so she was running into the health food store. Anyway, funny story. 5-HTP, I wrote a whole book on 5-HTP. It's the most well-researched direct precursor to serotonin. Don't use tryptophan. Don't use tryptophan. I'm going to show you why you want to use 5-HTP. It's the real serotonin solution. These are the conditions that are associated with low serotonin levels, and depression, insomnia, narcolepsy, sleep apnea, all associated with low serotonin levels, along with obesity, carbohydrate craving, anxiety, headaches, PMS, fibromyalgia, etc. 5-HTP has been shown to produce benefits in all of those conditions. Okay, so we can get to serotonin and melatonin from tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid. It gets converted to 5-HTP, then it gets converted to serotonin, and then it gets eventually converted to melatonin. So why do I say don't use tryptophan? Because the more tryptophan that you take, it goes to another pathway called the kynurenine pathway. We need that, but it will feed back and block the formation of 5-HTP. And if you block the formation of 5-HTP, you block the formation of serotonin. So many people taking tryptophan are doing more harm to their serotonin levels than helping it. So you don't want to use tryptophan therapeutically for all those conditions that are linked to low serotonin activity. You want to use 5-HTP. And the research with 5-HTP shows significantly better results than the research with tryptophan. Head-to-head comparison studies, no comparison at all. 5-HTP is a real serotonin solution. So 5-HTP in insomnia increases both serotonin, which is an initiator of sleep, and melatonin. It enhances sleep quality. It reduces sleep latency, which is the time required to go to sleep, and promotes sleep maintenance. It increases REM sleep. It increases non-REM sleep stages 3 and 4. 5-HTP is a really ideal sleep aid, because what we want to do is we want to sleep more in those deep levels of sleep, and we want to spend more time dreaming. And that's exactly what 5-HTP does. Now, a lot of times people that have not been dreaming on a regular basis, when they start dreaming, it's kind of their subconscious has been kind of suppressed in its communication. So they think, well, I don't like it. I don't like taking 5-HTP. I have nightmares. And I say, well, no, you're just more aware of your dreams. You've got to work through it. There's those dreams are still valuable. And sometimes they're very valuable because they're helping us learn what we need to face and not run away from. So useful in sleep apnea, narcolepsy, and other parasomnias as well. So 5-HTP is producing the effects on sleep that I am telling you are very important. So again, that mixture, that tranquil sleep, I really like because it had 5-HTP, l-theanine, and melatonin. It doesn't have the Nobiletin, but it does have the 5-HTP and the l-theanine. I like, if you're just taking it for insomnia, you can take 50 milligrams at night before going to bed. If you have some of the other clinical indications, you got to go 50 milligrams 3 times a day. That's usually enough for most people. So I would go with that dose. If needed, you can double it, but 50 milligrams 3 times a day before meals, that's the best. Give it 20 minutes before meals if you're trying to lose weight. Yes, 5-HTP can help you lose weight. It's very useful in reducing the amount of carbohydrates consumed. That was based on a study done in Italy. They didn't tell the women what they were taking. They were just taking, but they had them take this. They did this study 4 times with a large number of subjects. And when they gave these women 5-HTP before meals, it reduced the amount of calories consumed significantly by reducing the amount of pasta, bread, and other starches. It has an ability to reduce carbohydrate intake. That's because it's raising serotonin levels. If your serotonin levels are low, you crave carbohydrates. If your serotonin levels are high, you don't eat the carbohydrates. They're not as satisfying as other foods. Magnesium. Okay, folks, magnesium is one of the most important dietary supplements out there. You got to get the RDI. I'm going to give you those levels in just a minute. But look at all the clinical applications of magnesium. And I got here insomnia. Yes, it helps people sleep better. Also useful in depression. So I got that highlighted and enlarged here. And I'm going to talk about 2 of those studies. The average daily intake for adults in America for magnesium is 162 milligrams. That's less than half of what our body needs. So the reason why so many of these conditions are responding to magnesium is because so many Americans are low in magnesium. Kidney stones, glaucoma, migraine headaches, diabetes, asthma, migraines, tension headaches, all associated with low magnesium levels. So magnesium is safe. It's a very safe reliever of depression. This was a study that was done in 2017, fairly good sized study, gave 248 milligrams of magnesium per day, significant improvements in anxiety and significant improvements in depression. So the conclusion, magnesium is a safe and effective treatment in mild to moderate depression. Yeah, if this was a drug, it would be big. Everybody, you got to take magnesium. There'd be commercials telling people if you got depression, you better take magnesium. The only difference would be that you wouldn't have all those side effects listed at the end of the commercial with magnesium like we do with all those drugs. So magnesium, very useful in depression, very useful in improving sleep quality. This was a study that was done in 2012, and they took elderly subjects, gave them 500 milligrams of magnesium, and they significantly increased sleep time, improved the quality of sleep, and increase the production of melatonin. We need magnesium to make all those brain compounds. So if you're low in magnesium, you may be low in melatonin and serotonin. So the conclusion was that magnesium appears to improve subjective measures of insomnia. It improves sleep time, sleep onset, latency. It leads to improvement in sleeping through the night, and it improves body chemistry as well. So magnesium is key. How much should you take? These are the recommended daily intakes for magnesium based upon sex and age of a person. And so generally, my general recommendation is somewhere between 250 and 500 milligrams of magnesium per day. I like the powdered magnesium products. I'm going to send you a list of all the products that I recommend, and a lot of them are natural factors. I have a good relationship with Natural Factors. I was their director of product innovation for many years, so I know they're a good company. And I'm getting to know more companies now that I'm working with iHerb and making recommendations when I feel confident. I feel very confident about the iHerb brands. So anyway, 250 to 500 milligrams of magnesium. I like the powdered magnesium drinks. get in the habit of taking 250 milligrams at night before going to bed, and I guarantee you're going to sleep better, and you're not going to have muscle cramps or soreness, and you're going to wake up feeling like you have more energy. It's a good thing. Now, there's a lot of herbal sleep aids. Valerian is the most well studied. I'm falling in love with saffron. I just added saffron to my my routine. If you didn't see it, the beginning of the year, I posted on my website the 27 supplements that I take on a regular basis. I just added saffron. I added this saffron extract. It's very high quality and really sets the standard for this important natural product. A study just this week showed that saffron extract helped relieve anxiety and improve sleep quality, and it does what we want. What do I mean by that? It produces an increased time spent in those deep layers of sleep, while at the same time increasing REM time. The overall time isn't as important as the time you spend in those deeper levels of sleep and in REM sleep. So that's what we mean by we talk about improving sleep efficiency. You saw that on a couple of slides. It means that it's reducing the time spent in inefficient sleep. So you see an increase in the deep layers of sleep and an increase in REM sleep. So I'm liking saffron. I'm liking the research. I've just added it to my program. Kava may be the best choice for menopausal women. Just get a good high quality kava extract. I like passion flower. You'll see sleep formulas with passion flower in it. It may be the best choice for people that really have a hard time falling asleep. If a person is waking up in the middle of the night, it's often a blood sugar issue. If they're having a hard time getting to sleep, passion flower may be something to consider in the herbal realm. I like hops when it's combined with valerian. And I like ashwagandha. I take ashwagandha. It's an adaptogenic herb, so it helps with adrenal function, and it helps improve sleep quality while also improving energy production during the day. So it's quite good. So I think that's it. Yep, that's it. I'm gonna get to the questions in just a minute. I'm gonna remove that, and I'm gonna give you another link to my book, The Longevity Matrix. I'm very proud of this book. It's really a crystallization of what I've learned, both for my own health and as a physician, and through the research I've done in how to help people create a program in their life that's going to help them live longer. That's not the primary goal. The primary goal is to help people live better. And if you help people live better and stronger, the longevity just takes care of itself. So let's get to this. All this talk about sleep has made me sleepy. I like that. Yeah, it's possible. I'm going to scroll up and, or maybe I need to scroll down. I got to see where the, yep. Okay. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to start from bottom up. Here's Mimi's asking a question. Even with 8 hours of sleep, how come the most intense sleep is when we have to get up? I'd be in the middle of a dream and have to get out of bed. Yeah. So I probably answered that when I talked about my grandmother and her experience with reverie. It's in those, that's when we're dreaming. And that's when we really, we want to hold on, because those dreams, those are amazing. Those dreams are just really important. Gail is asking, why can't I remember my dreams? I think my guess is if we go back to that somnogram, I'm gonna go. Oh, let's see. How do I go back? Well, so remember that with the first cycle of sleep, we only have 5 to 10 minutes of REM, and we're not really able to remember those dreams. The kind of the flatter the cycle, the more likely we are to remember those dreams. So I don't know I don't know what is going on in your specific case, but one of the things that it's one of the reasons I don't like a lot of the sleeping pills is they're they really interfere with the ability to recall what we're dreaming. So yeah, so I gave you a list of disruptors of sleep. People don't like it when I say, look, caffeine is an issue for some people. Alcohol is an inhibitor of quality sleep. So I just focus on improving sleep quality, and I've given you some things to try. I like the saffron. It's very gentle. If you don't have anything else going on, I would give that saffron a try, because like I said, this recent study just shows that it does produce that deeper level of sleep, while at the same time leading to the better recall and experience of dream. Yeah, David's saying take more B6. Yeah, so again, my basic recommendations are to take a multiple vitamin and mineral formula that meets at least the RDI for all the essential vitamins and minerals, and that's a very good reminder there. Yeah. I chuckle because Madalena says, I've always had incredibly vivid dreams, but I have an awful sleep schedule. And some people can get by with that. And it comes down to sleep quality more so than the quantity for some. I know that in my life, there's been times where I because of my schedule, I've been able for a while, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 nights, to get by with 3 to 4 hours of sleep. But eventually that catches up with me. And what studies have shown is that we can utilize sleep catch-up, and it's quite good for us. So just make sure that you're well rested at some point. You can't run on 3 to 4 hours of sleep for a long period of time. So Catherine is asking, what's the optimal amount of time in the case of someone needing 8 hours of sleep spent in REM and spent in deep stage 4? I would say that your total time spent in deep stage 4 is probably only about an hour. Stage 3 and 4 is going to be longer, but the deepest levels of sleep, it may only be an hour or an hour and a half for most people. For REM, again, it goes from 5 minutes to 5 to 10 minutes to maybe 10 to 15 minutes to 15 to 30. So total time in 8 hours at the last, if you add all that up in a typical somnogram, you might be looking at 45 minutes to an hour. Sam figures he'd get fired if he napped during work hours. Yeah, I was talking to someone who spent some time in China and Hong Kong, and they were in the banking industry, and it was encouraged to take naps so they could work longer into the evening. So maybe someday we'll get napping as part of our culture and lifestyle here in America. Maybe it's the nap as well, the Mediterranean diet. Absolutely, everything fits together. All right, seeing if there's any questions. Lots of comments, and these are great. I like this. Does apple juice give you better dreams? I heard it increases acetylcholine levels in the brain. I don't think it's going to do much. With apples, interesting thing about apples. Apples are among the most powerful foods in protecting against Alzheimer's disease. I'm going to turn on my light really quick. Yeah, apples, if you have one apple 3 times a week, it reduces your risk of developing Alzheimer's disease by 37%. That's pretty darn good. Sam says, if I get too much exercise in a day, I have to remember to take some magnesium because he'll get leg cramps. Yep. Magnesium is something that we need. And as I shared with you, most people are only getting about half of what they need. So Elizabeth, I told everybody just to, make sure you're exhausted mentally and physically, and she's busy. She's working hard and stressed. She still has trouble falling asleep. Yeah, if we become overstimulated, then it's not good. What we have to do, Elizabeth, I think, is we have to engage in those relaxation exercises, even if it's just for a few minutes during the day, to help dissipate some of that stress that's building up. Because if that stress continues to build up, then we're going to be anxious at night, and it's going to be hard for us to get a good night's sleep. So if you're a nanny, yeah, you may you've got to, maybe not possible, but if you can, just taking a few minutes to do some deep breathing exercises, it can help dissipate that very very important part of a good healthy lifestyle. Yeah. I live in Arizona, and I have to take magnesium during the summer because we're losing these electrolytes, and if you're not taking in magnesium and potassium, it can lead to cramps. It can lead to poor sleep quality. So during the summer, especially, I'm religious about getting my magnesium. Renee's saying that PGX causes some digestive issues. Our experience is that in people where it causes some issues, if we give it along with a good probiotic, that seems to help break it down and prevent some of the gas that can form. So that would be my recommendation there. Yeah, this Daisy's asking if is this recorded, and I want you all to forward it. That information on the sedative hypnotic drugs, it's really sad because people can't sleep, so they go to the doctor, and the doctor's giving them drugs that are highly addictive, that are shortening the life of that patient. Medical historians are going to look back at some of these drugs, and they're going to say, well, they knew these were bad. Why were they continuing to prescribe them? They're continuing to prescribe them because they don't know about the natural alternatives. These natural alternatives that I shared with tonight, they have good data behind them. Now, some people say, well, I've tried melatonin and it didn't work. Well, sometimes it's a combination of things, and sometimes it's not just one thing. What I would encourage people is keep working and try different things and be a patient case study and see what works for you. But you got to take care of getting rid of all those disruptors of sleep, because I had a patient once. This guy was something. His medical file was about that thick. He'd been seeing, he was 44. He'd been seeing doctors for over 24 years for his insomnia. He told me, I got incurable insomnia. I've had it for 24 years. Here's my medical records. And I'm talking to him. And I said, do you drink any coffee? And he says, because this guy was super hyper. He was wiry, and he was one of these people that he's just moving, his legs were going. He has like restless legs. He's just hyped up. And I said, so do you drink coffee? He goes, yeah, but I never drink after 3. And I said, how much coffee do you drink? He goes, it doesn't matter. I just don't have it after 3. And I said, well, that's kind of a myth, because people that are sensitive to caffeine, it can the effects can last beyond the time it's eliminated from the body. It seems, or half of it's eliminated from the body. So, tell me how much coffee you're drinking. And he goes, well, I have 2 cups of coffee a day. And I looked at him, and just the way he said it, just something didn't sit right with me. So I came back with the right question. I said, how big are your cups? He was drinking a quart. His cups were quart size. He was drinking a quart of coffee twice a day. He wasn't sleeping well, so he wanted energy. So he was drinking 2 quarts of coffee a day. I said, we've got to get you off coffee. I go, if you get off coffee for 10 days, let's see what happens. Because I'm not going to be able to help you until I rule out whether caffeine is an issue for you. And he came back in 2 weeks and he said, well, I don't feel good about telling you this, but you were right. You cured you cured my insomnia, and you cured my mother's insomnia too. Now, what was interesting is that he didn't really have that much of an issue with caffeine withdrawal. I had given him some just basic supplementation to, and I think his body was so starved for B vitamins and vitamin C and all these basic nutrients that, you know, it was very easy for him to do that. I'm very sensitive to caffeine. We can do genetic testing and determine whether someone can tolerate the caffeine or whether they should stay away from it. I should stay away from it, and I do, because if I have caffeine, I can tolerate a little bit in the morning, but I can tell when they slip in they don't give me decaf and they give me caffeinated, because I don't sleep, not just very well for that first night, but for the second night as well. Okay, so we've got so many questions. I'm gonna go for another 10 minutes or so. Craig I want to get to some of the more serious questions. Craig is on clonazepam, not a big dose of it. Anybody says if he take it, he never has a night terror. If I don't take it, I get a night terror, which can be physically harmful. Craig, I would give 5-HTP a try. It was in there listed in the parasomnias. It's very useful in some cases of night terrors. I'd give it a try. You're at 71. Let's give it a try. Yes, it's certainly worth a try. We're going to figure out a way for people. We got so many questions, and I know there are people that I'm probably not going to get to. So we might figure out a way. I'll print out a transcript, but then I don't know your email address. We may send out an email to all the participants asking them if they had questions that didn't get answered to submit them. And I may record, I'm going to record a follow-up. I'm not going to do a live webinar. I'll just record one for all the people that ask questions. Okay. So, yeah, let's do that. You know, I like the spirit in the chat room. Very supportive. You know, I've done a lot of these now, and sometimes my son is at a family dinner tonight, so he's not monitoring the chat room, but sometimes we have to kick some people off because they're advertising for other products, or they're disruptive. But it looks like it was all good tonight. Yeah, so a lot of questions about Nobiletin. Yeah, so the dosage of Nobiletin is based upon the animal studies. There's not a lot of human data yet, but if we use the FDA guidelines for converting animal dosage to humans, the dosage is about 60 to 120 milligrams per day. Now, tangerine peels and citrus peels were part of traditional medicine in many parts of the world, and for many of these applications that we see Nobiletin being looked at. So, I expect it to be I think it's going to be a very big product, because that ability to improve that circadian rhythm within every cell of the body is amazing. And there's going to be more and more research on it. It's kind of like curcumin. You know, when curcumin became interesting to scientists, they started doing a lot of research on it. And that research in the beginning was primarily, you know, test tube and animal studies, and then we got human data. We're going to see that same sort of progression, because the reason why curcumin was being studied so intently was because it had very unique effects. Nobiletin has effects that haven't been seen with anything else to the degree that it's able to produce. And I'm talking specifically on its ability to improve the circadian rhythm. Can you take, Dee's asking, you take melatonin long-term every night? Yeah, this question was answered recently in a study in Italy where they had given elderly subjects 5 milligrams of melatonin long-term and found no untoward side effects. And when you stop taking it, your body's going to go right back to producing the level of melatonin it was producing prior to the taking of the melatonin. Yeah, yep. So Susan is asking, how can a consumer choose a quality supplement? The quality control is standardized with drugs. One of the reasons why I've given you lists of products that I recommend is that I know these are good products. There are a lot of products being sold, especially on the internet, that are not legitimate products. And I've written about this. And it's one of the reasons why I have partnered up with iHerb. I know iHerb, they have quality control mechanisms in place. On the iHerb site, for the iHerb products, you'll see that they are eye tested. And what that means is they've been sent out to an independent third-party lab and analyzed for purity and potency, and you can actually see the certificate of analysis. But there are a lot of really good companies in the natural product arena. They're just some bad apples, and the bad apples are usually companies that you've never heard of before. So I would recommend buying from if you're either in the health food stores or online from a reputable source, and then buy products that are from reputable brands that employ good manufacturing practices. Many companies have a certification with natural factors. They use Ishura, very high quality standards to get that Ishura logo on their product. There's NSF, there's UAL, there's all sorts of different certification bodies emerging to give consumers the confidence they need. But it is an issue, but it's mainly an issue in these companies that have come out of nowhere and are selling on other sites like Amazon and without any quality control, and that's a problem. Oh my gosh, maybe I should do a talk, David, on how EMF and 5G affect our biological clock and cellular sensing mechanisms. It's really interesting. Maybe I'll do that. That's good. I'm going to do that. Every time I do one of these webinars, I have such a good time doing it. I say I'm going to do it. Make sure I do this every month, and I apologize. I've just been really busy. But I'm going to look at maybe doing this next month. This might be something that people are interested in, and I can analyze what the data shows and give people kind of a balanced view. Sometimes there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, and sometimes it's a little bit of truth, but it's exaggerated. And hopefully you like the way I take a look at the science. And I think I'm gonna get a transcript of all these questions, and we will. I'm gonna record that and get it out to you. Oh, all right, cool. Yeah. How do we test for magnesium levels in our body? A serum magnesium level, if it's low, that's at the last stage. Magnesium is an intracellular mineral. That means we have to measure the level of magnesium in red blood cells or white blood cells, and those are specialized magnesium tests. Let's see. Yeah, Eva, is right. Significant low thyroid can be associated with scary nightmares for sure. Oh, wow. Yeah, so David has got another good point here. I like this. He says he can tell he needs more magnesium when his tolerance for noise is non-existent. So This is really important in kids that are on the spectrum that, just can't handle the noise. They're generally, that's a sign that they're low in magnesium. That is a recommendation. Like low zinc, we lose our sense of taste and smell. Low magnesium, we become hypersensitive to noise. Boy, lots of questions. Yeah, so Linda says her budget can in no way support all of these supplements. Unfortunately, some of these are really inexpensive. So let's start with there. Try to find a good multiple. Take extra vitamin D3 and a good fish oil. iHerb runs specials on these popular supplements. Keep an eye on it. I mean, they were running vitamin D3 for $1. And so just keep an eye out and take advantage of some of those specials. As far as melatonin is not expensive and magnesium is not expensive. So I would start with those, and I've shared data with you on both of those. They're very, very effective on their own. So David's asked me to ask about EndoSleep. EndoSleep is a product I developed for a company called Emerald, and there's talks of reviving that, but it's a non-CBD approach to enhancing the endocannabinoid system, and this particular formula was designed to promote a good night's sleep, and the feedback was just fantastic. Thank you all so much. Lots of positive comments. This is the most positive we've had. It's just great. Thanks, Baum, for loving my book, and my books are like my children. I love all of them, and I don't want to say one is more favorite than the other, but I really put a lot of time and energy into this longevity matrix. I want to help people live longer, and so with sleep, there's so many people that are taking these drugs that are putting them into graves earlier unnecessarily. We got to get them off those. So I go into this in the book and give you some recommendations in the program for getting off of those sort of drugs. Ed's asking what type of magnesium. I like magnesium citrate. I think it's the least expensive, and it's a easily ionized form of magnesium. I like the powdered drink mixes because I take a lot of pills. So taking something in magnesium, you're taking a pretty good dose. So rather than take more pills, I like adding it to a drink. So that's how I take it. Laura is saying that she always slept well until she started menopause. That's very common. I mentioned kava as far as an herbal sedative. That's useful. There are so many natural approaches that we can talk about during menopause that can help improve sleep quality. If you go to my website and you click on the search and you do a search and type in menopause, you'll see some of my recommendations for menopause. And sometimes by balancing those hormonal levels, I would give that circadian rhythm product from Life Extension a try. It may mean that I think menopause it's a system-wide experience, and maybe we can reset the biological clock. And so it's actually, that product has a little melatonin in it, and just take that methylcobalamin in the morning and shut down that daytime melatonin promotion. Pat's asking if I found any relationship between levels of vitamin D3 and sleep apnea. With the conditions that are linked to sleep apnea, they're also linked to low vitamin D3 levels. Now, whether vitamin D3 is going to help the sleep apnea, I don't know, but usually people that have sleep apnea have a condition that is associated with low vitamin D3. Matthew Walker says you cannot take make up for lost sleep deprivation. Please share the research. Yeah, you can catch up, but I'm not talking about prolonged sleep deprivation. I'm saying 3 or 4 nights you have some disruption of sleep, and you catch up. You get your body goes into kind of a hyper sleep state. By that I mean it really gets in there and starts working hard at repair and rebuilding. I'll provide that exact reference when we get to the when I make the response to all this. This is really good. Yeah, Susan asking what I recommend is a good plant-based antioxidant. I like either grapeseed extract or a specific curcumin product called Theracurmin. It's the most bioavailable form of curcumin. For most people, those are the best choices. But Nobiletin, it is a good plant-based antioxidant. And what we're learning about these plant-based antioxidants is we've overstated the effect they have direct on pro-oxidants. What they do is they increase the production of a compound called NRF2, and what it does is it activates our own internal antioxidant system, and that Nobiletin does that. So if you oh yeah, Mabel asked a very good question. Do you recommend taking all the natural sleep aids together, or just try one at a time? For elderly people that have sleep-wake cycle disorders, and I described that, they are able to they're able to fall asleep during the day, but at night they have a hard time staying asleep. I recommend the combination of melatonin and B12. That's what I've recommended for years. You may want to consider utilizing the Nobiletin and melatonin at night, along with the methylcobalamin in the morning. That's especially true if you want to lose weight, if you have high cholesterol levels, or you have diabetes, because Nobiletin has been shown to improve those conditions by improving the circadian rhythm. Oh my, we've got some really funny people in the group today. I wish I could meet everybody personally. Yeah, I would love that. When we do the mailing for the answers to the questions, I'll figure out how we can get the slides out. We typically get this request. Maybe I should put a site. I'm going to ask my web guy if I can, probably the easiest thing is to put these presentations I've given. We put the slides on a PDF of the slides on the website for download. So I'll do that. Nan is asking. This is a great question. It's the last question I'm going to answer. She says, "What do you recommend for shutting down the brain when it's time to go to sleep?" I found that I couldn't shut down my brain, Nan. So what I do is I flood my brain. And this is probably the most valuable lesson I've learned, one of them in my life. I started flooding my brain with the things I want in my life. So as I lay in sleep, get ready to sleep, I say to myself, as I breathe in, I am love, I am love, I am love. And then as I breathe out, I say love, and I feel that in my heart. I do that for joy, peace, happiness, gratitude. I vary it sometimes, but generally love, joy, peace, happiness. Those are things I've identified that I want. And I found that it was easier for me to flood my brain than try to empty it. And I found that the more and more I started flooding my brain and heart with these emotions, the more love, more joy, more happiness, and more peace I experienced in my life. So that's the trick that I've learned, and I would suggest giving those a try. It works. So that's it. Thank you for hanging in there. We didn't lose too many people. That's amazing. So Again, I'm going to get a transcript of all of these questions, and I'm going to record. I'm going to pick out the ones I didn't answer, and I'm going to answer them because I want to make sure everybody gets their question answered. So God bless you all, and sleep well.